They are going to treat ERP as just the back-end accounting after the fact system. And that's okay. I mean, that's their design, their architecture, and they are choosing that for a purpose. But again, when you look at the ERP-centric processes, you are looking at cross-functional consolidation, connectivity of the process, operating in one sort of data model, which is where the real power of ERP.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be joining from. This is our product review series. And today we have one of the most exciting product in the vendor. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. We are going to follow our standard methodology to review this. And for today, we have Campfire, and they are one of the most promising AI-native vendor. I think we have covered a lot of them recently. We have done dual entry. We have done, which one was the next one? I think Relate was the next one that
Relate, yeah.
And I think we are going to do Everest in the future as well. There are many other ones. We will be covering pretty much everybody. Our goal is to provide as much educational material as possible. So we'll be covering all of that, but we are going to start with our intros. So Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor-agnostic technology advisory firm. We help with, change management, system selection, etc. On that note, which order do we go? Phil, do you want to go first today?
Sure, let's jump right in. Hi, everybody. I'm Phil Kerper, Managing Director of Ringling Business Solutions, and we help our clients master their software investments and turn it into profits. So wonderful to be here, Sam.
Okay, and amazing. I mean, Phil always brings that CEO personality that we all don't have. So thank you so much for being here, Phil.
CEO personality? I'm gonna take that as a positive, Sam. All right, I can do the best.
Right. That under your USP, I guess.
Yeah, CEO personality, right?
CEO personality, yeah. Stress, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. I'm Shrestha Das, and I'm working as an industry research analyst at Elevate IQ. And thanks again, Sam, for inviting me. Excited to be here.
And I'm always learning so much from you, Shrestha. You do so much research. I mean, a lot of insights that we have is actually sourced by you. So thank you so much for all the contributions, and looking forward to learning from you. Andy, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm the last one, so I might as well.
You are the
by
best.
the way, Shrestha, your title is so long, I can't imagine being on a business card.
You need to have like ERP title, okay? It needs to be slightly more complex to give you a feeling of ERP. Otherwise, what's the point?
That's right.
Andy, you can bring business cards to a function. You're not going to use them.
No, I know that. Well, even on a resume would be.
How about your title, ERP Santa Claus?
That's Santa Claus. Yeah. Well, mine's nice and short, though. I just say Santa. I'm good enough. My name's Andy Pratico. I've been involved in ERP software for manufacturers all my life. I lived in the U.S. for 11 years. I've worked with manufacturers in about 2/3 of the U.S. states and 8/10 of the Canadian provinces. So I've done a lot of traveling. I also teach and I help companies uncover the truth about ERP systems before they buy them, because of the statistics about ERP satisfaction is embarrassing. So I try to help that. Anyways, thank you so much for having me attend, Sam.
And I'm looking forward to learning from your history lessons. And I don't think anybody has been in the ERP industry as long as Andy has. So thank you so much, Andy, for being here. All right. So I'm actually going to share my screen. Let's get started. Just 1 second. So can you confirm if you guys are able to see my screen right now?
Yes.
It is.
Okay. Just 1 second. I'm not able to move for whatever reason. Okay. Hold on. Something is Not right today. Okay, all right. I think this is the one that I wanted to start. So I'll provide some quick overview of how we conduct these reviews, where we source the information, what we are relying on. Overall, when you look at the newer solutions, newer vendors, one of the challenges that we all have, I'm speaking more from the research community perspective, the majority of the companies would not even touch the newer startups, newer solutions. And the reason for that is because you are not going to have enough data points. We have to rely on public information. And, for us, obviously, we like to look at financial statements. 90% of the startups and the emerging firms, they are probably not going to have financial statements. So we go back to some of the historical releases, the PR stories. We look at, some of the product design, and then we try to correlate the dots overall, go-to-market strategy where these companies are being successful. Now, with this company, specifically Campfire, we don't have a lot of meaty stuff. We are looking for substance. When we analyze any sort of user reviews, Reddit threads, it's just not there right now. Obviously, they are very new in the market, but I mean, those are different sources that we utilize. For this one, for this specific review, we just have historical releases and some of the product design analysis based on API documentation, developer documentation, community documentation, etc. So we are going to use all of that. Now, again, we have done a lot of these reviews, at least 2 or 3 for the AI native category. Even for us, it's very new. We have not gone through as many cycles as we like with any of the reviews, just because the customers are not necessarily requesting these solutions so far. It does not mean that they will not request soon. As of today, we just don't have as many requests from the customer's perspective. So again, our data points are very limited. As we have mentioned with the other reviews, these solutions are fairly evenly positioned, all of them, at least the leading ones, I would say. And those leading ones are Dual Entry, Campfire, and Relate. And fourth one, I always miss on the fourth one. So Everest, I guess, right? Which is the one, right?
Yes,
so those 4. Yeah, thank you, Phil. So those 4 are fairly evenly positioned. They have fairly similar offering. Yes, there are going to be some differences. I think, Phil, you noted with Relate, if I remember, they probably don't have multi-entity functionality. Other systems, they have multi-entity functionality. With Campfire, they have that. Again, majority of them, they are positioning them as sort of GL and the accounting software. They all go back and forth between whether they are a real GL or a real ERP from Elevate IQ's perspective. And this is, very strong opinion of Elevate IQ. However you define ERP, for us, ERP is connected subledgers, connected, processes, transactional processing across departments. That's how we define ERP. So sometimes we struggle to position any of the ERPs that are going to have simply GL flavor in with the mainstream ERP. And I'm not using mainstream term but I mean, from the Elevate IQ's definition, that would be called ERP. These ones are not going to be as ERP, from our perspective. Now, all of them are AI native. AI native is a very different architecture. At this point of time, we just don't have enough data, enough confidence, how AI native space is going to evolve. One thing that we can say is AI native in general is a very different experience. It's probably going to provide very different outcome overall from the business value perspective. So still, I mean, we have to do a lot of experiments, learning for all of us to be able to find, where AI native space is going to end up, whether AI native space will be ahead, which market segment they are going to serve in the future. That is something we'll find out later. But as of today, if you look at their benefits, obviously they have AI native, faster implementation. Vibe coding is the big theme overall with these systems, and obviously multi-entity. Now, some background. I'm not sure about Campfire if they started as AI native. Obviously, we have been tracking them for some time, for roughly 2-3 years. 2-3 years back, I don't think anybody was talking about AI native. So I don't know if they pivoted their strategy a little bit, in moving to AI native. But right now they are definitely positioned as AI native. They are as comparable as anybody else in the AI native community. And now, from the competition perspective, you are going to have obviously dual entry. We have already reviewed. If you have not checked those reviews, I would highly encourage you to dial in those as well. Dual entry, Relate, and Everest is coming in, soon, very soon. And obviously, you have. I don't like to use the word traditional because that's probably unfair to these guys. But we have to use something comparative because these guys are new, and they are not as new, obviously, so they become sort of traditional. But I mean, the comparison here is going to be NetSuite, Acumatica, SAP S/4HANA to some degree. I mean, they have compared themselves. I don't think SAP would appreciate being compared with something like Campfire, at least as of today. And the reason for that is because SAP is much deeper, I would say, operationally, in terms of the cross-functional connectivity. I don't think Campfire is there yet, at least as of today. Not saying they will never get there, but as of today, they are not there yet. Some context again. I mean, I think I mentioned that I mean, these are among 4 leading options. The industries where we have seen their logos, and I have confirmation. I have spoken to their team that right now, obviously, they are doing a lot of SaaS tech. They might be in some of the inventory centric verticals as well. But again, the scope of those verticals would be GL centric. Okay. Now, some industries, even when they are going to be product centric, their operational processes are so unique that they cannot be inside the ERP processes, or they cannot fit themselves in the ERP box. So what they are going to do is they are going to treat ERP as just the back-end accounting after the fact system. And that's okay. I mean, that's their design, their architecture, and they are choosing that for a purpose. But again, when you look at the ERP centric processes, you are looking at cross-functional consolidation, connectivity of the process, operating in one sort of data model, which is where the real power of ERP, as per the definition of Elevate IQ is. But for those industries, I think these guys have done well, and they could be a great fit for those industries when you are treating this as purely GL with very limited subledger functionality, I would say, or connectivity. Any comments, guys?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we've ad nauseum discussed how the acronym ERP is been productized, or it's just basically a marketing acronym now.
Yep.
But the first letter is enterprise, and enterprise implies the entire enterprise. And so whether or not all of these systems are truly ERP is very, it certainly is debatable.
Yeah, and on that point, I think this one, they're a bit more careful than maybe dual entry and Relit were, as far as describing them as more of a financial solution versus a operational ERP solution. And on another point you made, Sam, if you look at their funding, I found 3 rounds of funding. First, the seed money at 3.5, and then 2 more. That gets them over 100 million right now. The last 2 series, their Series A and Series B funding, occurred in the second half of last year. So that's really, and if you read the releases on them, that's really when they're starting to see some scaling. So from a timing standpoint, they certainly could be native AI. And I think dual entry was similar, like it's possible because of the timing of their company. I think Relit was the one that has been around probably longer than a native AI solution would have existed. And maybe they did a change midstream, if you will.
Yeah, so I mean, these guys are definitely AI native. That's how they are. I think investors are investing in these guys, and I think you noted, Phil, that everybody has like $1 billion valuation already. I don't know if they have like even 1,000 logos right now, but they all have $1 billion valuation. So the only reason why these guys are getting that money is because obviously they are AI native, and AI native is where the attention is. That's where the money is, and that's why we are excited about these solutions as well, to be completely honest. If they were not AI native, then probably we would not cover them. Again, nothing against non-AI native, but the direction of the market is towards AI native, and obviously we need to prioritize our coverage as well, with the select few vendors, I guess, that are going to be really promising. So that's how we approach the market as well. So,
and one other very quick point, Sam, sorry to slow us down, but I think all three of these that we've looked at now that are AI native, they're young, so there's certainly going to always be gaps, even in the very mature, as far as depth. They might be able to do a function, but the depth is going to be more shallow in certain areas for all of these, for any ERP. But each of them has their own area where you can tell from looking at it where they're kind of saying that's really where we want to have depth. And I think with you can look at the other two videos to see where the other two guys have really invested in depth. And these guys also are somewhat unique in where they've invested in depth.
Could not agree more, Phil. Great points. All right, guys, so I'll move along unless you guys have any other comments here. So obviously, on our quadrants, if you look at, they are fairly positioned. We could not find any data points so far based on our research. Obviously, when you speak to these vendors, they all say that they have a lot of logos compared to their competitors. That's how competition works, I guess. So it's always fun talking to them. Obviously, they are very passionate and we appreciate that passion. But at the same time, from our research, we are not able to find any, specific data points where we feel that any of these vendors are leading or lagging. They are fairly positioned, and you should look at pretty much all of them. If you are evaluating, you are not going to look at just one and decide. So if you are passionate about AI native, you should probably include, most of them, unless you feel otherwise, with any of them. So, they have very similar ranking right now. There is no difference as such from our perspective in all of them. So I'll keep moving here unless you guys have any other comments. And then this slide may look very similar to the ones that we have done, and some people might feel it's just a copy, paste, and replacement, I guess, right? That's how it is coming across. But the problem is that they all are very similar in terms of their strategy. They all are attacking very service-centric spaces, service-centric verticals. They are not attacking inventory, centric spaces. And the reason for that is because the service-centric spaces, the accounting capabilities, the GL capabilities, the capabilities that they are trying to push is much easier to penetrate. Now, I don't know if they are ever going to get to the real subledger capabilities, the operational capabilities, the inventory capabilities for the product-centric industries when they care for that cross-functional consolidation. If they get there, then we would move them, towards more ERP. But right now, their focus is very service-centric, and service-centric, the kind of go-to-market strategy, the kind of integrations they are going to have is very unique. So some of the quick points here. And again, one problem that we have is they are coming across as more as if they are somewhere between ERP and FP&A. Some of the use cases that these guys are also catering would probably belong to FP&A, but they also have go-to-market alignment with a lot of different FP&A vendors. So right now, we would put them somewhere in between ERP and FP&A. Right now, it's not clear the kind of clarity that we like to see in the go-to-market strategy alignment. So they don't have as much overlap right now with other operational categories that other ERP vendors are going to have, from our definition, what we call ERP, for example, MES, EAM, supply chain, product-centric capabilities. They don't have as much overlap with them. They have some overlap with ACM. Again, the categories such as MES, EAM, they are not necessarily relevant for the service-centric verticals. ACM is probably going to be far more relevant for product-centric industries. You are not going to find as much overlap with the ACM categories because they don't have as expensive resources. They don't have the same problems that your service SIS companies are going to have. SaaS, tech, these companies have very different problems from the ACM workflow perspective as well. We have seen some ACM overlap in product-centric verticals as well. Automotive is probably one. Construction is another one. Phil, your favorite, where you might have some overlap with the ACM workflows. But again, in the product-centric industries, that is limited. And that's why, again, we feel that, these guys are attacking service-centric verticals, and we have validation from them as well, that's their core focus. So again, if you are evaluating for SaaS, tech, you should definitely include these guys. Now, some more comments here. Most AI native platforms might have similar positioning with some trending towards accounting platforms. Again, they sort of go back and forth, and I don't know where they are going overall from the market penetration perspective. Again, accounting market is great. I mean, there is ERP market is far tougher, and not everybody has to be ERP. You can do far better, I would say, as the accounting solution. But our problem would be when you are sort of in between. You are going back and forth in positioning. Then we'll call out a little bit. We love accounting. We love ERP. Just make sure you stay in your lane. That's all we want. Okay, so again, I mean, this is what we noted with this as well, and this is the consistent commentary that we have with every single AI native platform out there. Overall, from our perspective, we are just not noticing as many database constraints as we like to see in the transactional data model, in the relational data model. And again, AI is far more effective when you flatten the data model. So there might be some constraints, and again, we don't have enough intel in terms of what are the real constraints that are driving this. Sometimes it's driven by easier design, easier adoption. But again, they are going to have their own sort of pros and cons from the design perspective. So we'll talk about that. But I mean, these are some of the challenges that you are probably going to run into with these guys as well, as with any other AI native vendors. Okay. Again, as of today, in terms of our tiering benchmarking, and again, these tiers are not necessarily classes, I guess. Each of the tier could be great fit for any company depending upon what you are looking for. And tier 1 is not necessarily better than tier 7. I will be absolutely clear there. Okay, so the reason why we are putting them in tier 7, so this is done based on the ERP depth, ERP functionality depth, operational connectivity, cross-functional connectivity, subledger, integration, degree of integration is what we look for. And from those benchmarks, Campfire right now, as with any of the AI native vendors, they are just not there in that maturity. That's why we are putting them inside, tier 7. Again, tier 7 could be great for a lot of companies when they cannot afford to have that cross-functional integration from the business model perspective. There are companies who struggle to create that cross-functional integration because of political struggles, because of business strategy. There could be so many different factors. So again, this could be a great fit, but depending upon what you are trying to do from your business model perspective, how you are trying to organize yourself as a business, this could be a great fit. But as of today, they are in tier 7. Questions?
No? Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. And you could even kind of flip that and say it that you're often better off not buying a higher tier than you need. Yeah. Because you're buying, if you need the capability, get in the tier where you get your capability. But if you're just buying a higher tier than what your needs or your future needs are, you can end up with a lot of implementation, a lot of costs, and not utilizing the software. And you can see even Dynamics and SAP and Oracle, they all have products in several tiers for that reason.
Could not agree more. And I think Andy talks about right buying, and right buying is very specific to a company, their own strategy, the way they are trying to organize themselves. So again, look at yourself. Don't look at anybody else, not even your competitors, I would say.
And starting with the financial packages and the financial workflows, I mean, that's also, if you particularly Sage comes to mind, that's where a lot of these guys that have over years expanded and evolved to be able to, solidly be saying ERP. They started, Sage started as a financial package primarily.
Even today, Phil, I would say they are very finance focused. They are very CPA targeted, yep. And I mean, technically, we have struggled with them as well, even though we love them. But it's very hard to find, okay, how much revenue should be attributed toward ERP? How do we find that? Because, 90% of your revenue is coming from maybe Sage 100, maybe Sage 50. So you are really accounting platform. Sure, you have some solutions from the ERP perspective, but even those are used as a GL. Is that really ERP? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Andy, I think I have this right. Didn't Sage originally market through auditors, and those auditors then marketed to the CFOs that they were auditing and got them on the software? And I think they even had a distribution agreements with auditors to promote the product, if I recall, way back in the day.
You're right. Actually, to take that little step further, the products that Sage purchased were used by auditors to market, implement to their customer base. Like Sage 300, you might remember one called ACPAC.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Sage 300.
Yep.
Peachtree is another one.
Yep.
There's a series of accounting systems that Sage has acquired. And then, as Sam has told us, those numbers they use, Sage 100, 200, 300, were originally designed at number of employees that that product was targeted
Yep.
at,
Yep.
which was interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and even today, Phil, I think Sage's primary strategy is really CPAs. That's how they market, and that's how a lot of AI native vendors are marketing right now. And
No question.
I mean, yeah. So again, I mean, that's where we sort of struggle. Okay, are you really ERP or are you not ERP?
Yep.
And a lot of some of the accounting firms, I mean, they have tried to acquire some ERP systems. It didn't work out for them. I think, Andy, you might remember this. Exact is probably the best example. They tried to get into mid-market. It didn't work well. And all of those systems are with ECI at this point of time, as far as my understanding goes. They moved away from the business market, I would say, B2B market. Again, accounting is a very consumerized market. B2B market is very different from the ERP perspective once you move up the funnel, I would say, in terms of the market penetration. Yeah. I'll keep moving here unless you guys have any other comments. I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so some comments here in terms of pros and cons. And again, what we are looking at from this slide perspective is we are trying to position the closest solutions. So one thing that we always like to recommend is, let's say if you're looking at Campfire, then you should probably look at dual entry Everest Relate as well, right? If you put, let's say, Campfire, Odoo, and SAP in the same bucket, we will feel that you don't know what you are doing. And that's why that tiering ranking is very relevant if you look at those tiers. So assess where you are in terms of your tier journey, what you want, from the business outcome perspective, and try to get as close solutions as possible. And that's how we recommend you analyze our quadrants as well. Okay, don't pick one solution from here and one solution from there. That'll be wild. Okay, one from the lower bottom quadrant and one from the upper top quadrant. What is that? Top right quadrant. Okay, if you do that, then you are sort of mixing. You are all over the place. Don't do that, because a company is probably going to be at one place, inside the quadrant, and that's where you should be finding some closer solutions. So when we have these solutions concentrated at one place on the quadrant, they are probably going to be very closer, and that's why we have positioned all of them at very similar place. So if you are comparing Campfire, dual entry, Everest Relate, you are probably leading in the right direction. If you are mixing this with something else, then you are probably not leading with the right direction. Now, if you include all of this, that means you care for AI native architecture, you care for AI native capabilities. If you don't care for that, then maybe you don't want to include these. Maybe you want to include NetSuite, Acumatica, Sage Intacct. They are going to be far more comparable. If you are on SAP, then SAP, Microsoft, Oracle is probably going to be the right and fair comparison, I would say. Okay, so overall,
I was going to say, Sam, whenever I see companies evaluating these systems and they're basically looking at products that shouldn't really be competing, I always think of Sesame Street, where they said one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Great points, guys. Great points. That's why, I mean, you need to look at something closer. So here, these are probably the closest solution. Again, some of these vendors might not agree with our assessment that you are putting Light here as well. Light may be slightly different. I don't know what Light is going to say. It's always interesting, talking to these vendors. But Light may be slightly different. I think they are positioning themselves as core accounting. I don't think they call ERP, but we have seen in some cases that they are being bundled as part of the ERP bucket as well. But I think they are different from these four. So here, if you look at their pros, obviously you have the AI native faster implementation, and these are the things that we have been talking about with every single review that we have done of the AI native vendors. Obviously, they are going to be easier to use. The whole conversational reporting, agentic workflows, these things are going to be very relevant with a lot of them. Now, these terms and the buzzwords, technically these are buzzwords. They are going to be used by the other traditional vendors as well. So you need to be careful. You need to have a little bit of technical understanding of how these things work. And if you don't have that, then you are probably buying something very different. You just don't realize it. But that's probably going to be very, very, very different in general. So pay attention to how they are positioning, and pay attention to the technical details as well. Again, from their market penetration perspective, they are probably right fit for SaaS right now. Tech, that's where we have seen their presence. And obviously, as they develop their capabilities, they are probably going to be present in other verticals as well. But as of today, that's where they are really penetrating hard, and they are present. Some of the concerns that we have, again, database layers and database constraints is where our major concern is, whether you are going to have the same outcome as you would have with ERP-centric architecture, ERP-centric, and again, ERP as we define at Elevate IQ is how I am trying to, speak about. So that's where we are going to have a little concerns, and we'll talk in detail what we mean by that. And then subledger capabilities, those are going to be limited as well. If you're looking for pure play GL, this could be a great system in general. So I'm not going to touch on each of these systems. If you want to know a little bit more about them, then we have dedicated sessions for them. So check those out. You can find those on events and webinars page on elevateiq.com. That's probably the easiest way to find these sessions. Now, some of the historical stories, and this is all coming from their press releases, the kind of claims, comments that they have made. We are simply analyzing that. We are providing our opinion. You need to do your own research and find out, what you believe in. But this is really our, opinion in terms of how we would interpret this, at least from the buyer's lens. Our commentary always is from the buyer's perspective. So here, we are very excited about their funding. Anytime, whenever you have entities such as Y Combinator involved or any of these investors, we are super pumped in covering them, and we feel that these companies are going to have real future. So you have zero, challenge in trusting whether these companies are going to be there in next 20 years or not. These guys are real deal. So that is the confidence that you can definitely have with these companies, even though like 3.5 million. Phil, you always talk about that's nothing.
Yeah, that's their seed money, and then they hit they're up to 100 million now in last year. So they definitely got to the point last year where they could go back to their funding sources and do an A and a B and get some real money. So they're definitely funded today.
Could not agree more. And I think the speed of investment is very high as well. At this point of time, they are receiving substantial attention. And I think that is only going to increase in my mind. In the next few years, they are going to receive far better valuation as well as funding. So just so exciting. Okay, so some more comments here. It's time for a modern general ledger. And we'll call out anything that, we will find that, okay, you are comparing modern versus legacy. I don't think solutions such as NetSuite or Sage, they will appreciate this commentary. It's not the comparison of modern versus legacy. I think it's the comparison of the specific capabilities that you have and the kind of outcome that you are going to get from each of these solutions. So again, I would say don't pay attention to modern. That is just a buzzword. It does not have as much meaning as such. If you care for AI-native architecture, get into the technicals of that and pay attention to that. At this point of time, they are claiming that, and again, this is the slightly older news. So at that point of time, they were positioning themselves as general ledger. Even today, they are sort of general ledger, but they might be slightly deeper, I would say, and some more operational functionality. Some more comments here. Every category of accounting, finance, tech stack, such as payroll, rippling, and if you look at the alignment, rippling very well prevalent in SaaS tech. You would not find that in manufacturing companies, I guess, because they don't use that. So rippling's alignment is very SaaS. So that is a signal for us that, okay, these guys are very well aligned with services companies, SaaS tech. If you look at Ramp, Brax, you're not going to find in manufacturing deals. And you can attest to that, I guess. These are very SaaS-centric solutions. So obviously their alignment is towards SaaS. Mercury Arc, I don't think I have even heard of them. Some of these solutions.
I think that's an engine for a rowboat, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, Andy. Good joke. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, these guys are tragedy solutions, and there are a million of them out there. I don't think we are going to have time to review each of them, but they are tragedy solution. And then we have procurement as well. Zip is probably one of the biggest names, I would say, in Silicon Valley. Airbase has been very successful in QuickBooks, NetSuite ecosystem. Obviously, these guys are going after them as well. 90% of the AI-native systems, they are going after either Sage Intacct market or NetSuite market. So that's why they are aligning with Airbase as well. Okay, so they are talking about, okay, these systems have innovated, but the other systems such as NetSuite and Intacct, I mean, these guys are calling them legacy. I would not call them legacy. That's a different design altogether for a very different outcome.
They're calling cloud software legacy now?
And that's how, I mean, that's how
Holy
it
cow.
goes, Andy. I mean, you remember 2015? We were like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? You are
But
saying
I'm
we are
going to
legacy?
take their side a little bit on this, although
Please.
I'm not thrilled with the language. They're saying legacy general ledgers, and they're saying modern general ledger. Okay, well, I don't like the language much because the GL's the GL. I mean, those structures have been in place, forever, and the basic accounting principles haven't changed, and certainly the GAAP standards haven't changed. Where they do have modernization is ease of reporting, and being and the ease of reporting is a huge one, because these so-called legacy systems, reporting is a journey and it takes an investment to get your reporting right. And then the second thing is automation of workflows, where they got a lot of that built in, where you can pretty quickly automate workflows, where in more of the traditional systems, I won't call them legacy, traditional systems, there you got to do work to get those workflows in there, and sometimes some customization. So they got a story here.
Yeah.
That it's modernized and it's easier to use and faster to implement and easier to get reports, but they haven't modernized the GL. The GL's the GL.
Exactly. And you may have a point there. And I think a lot of CFOs might agree that, I mean, you don't make money in GL, I guess. A lot of people say that GL is a GL, right? So I don't know how modern. Sorry, what's that, Andy?
It counts the beans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would not probably use that term. I don't know if people are going to appreciate that.
You can't take the 70s out of Andy. All right.
No, exactly. It's hard, right?
That's right.
He always goes
Phil.
back there. But yeah, I think, Phil, you have a point here. I mean, GL is a GL. I don't know how modern that could be. But when you get into the boundaries of workflows, and that's where you get into subledger. And that's where the real money is. When you align subledger to general ledger with one data model, that's where the real money is. When you isolate these things, I don't know, I mean, what you can do about it. But I mean, this is great from my perspective. Okay, I'll move to the next slide unless you guys have any other comments there. Here, they are talking about, obviously purpose-built, and that is the term that they are using for tech. They have some integrations that would qualify them as purpose-built for tech, in my mind at least. You are going to get a lot more integrations for tech. And tech, again, from our perspective, they were never the real ERP shops. They never needed that cross-functional consolidation. It didn't work for them. They had different priorities. If they needed to attract those talented developers, you cannot get them to use ERP. I mean, you'll be lucky if they can fill timesheet. So again, software SaaS is a very different industry compared to everything else that happens in the world. They were never sort of the real ERP. For them, ERP is only GL, and this is what these guys are trying to do. So let's say if you're in SaaS and tech companies, again, this is great because they have very different mindset, the mindset they used to operate. But again, other industries are very different.
And they're calling it, this is another spot, as I mentioned at the very start, where their language is good here. Modern accounting software. That is a good definition of what they're doing.
Modern for whom is always a question for me. Phil,
yeah, but accounting software. They didn't say modern ERP, right? They said modern accounting software. I thought that was the type of limits I wish some of the other guys were using on how they're talking about and thinking about themselves.
Yeah, I mean, what may be modern for Andy from 70s may not be modern for me, as we all know this, right?
I know, because the 1980s is modern to me.
Yeah, exactly. See? Okay, so that's always a subjective term. Again, I mean, we don't like to use that. But again, I mean, this is great. This is fresh, blood. So we definitely are excited about them. So here they are talking about we have been hardening the product since we onboarded our first customer last June. And I believe this is coming from somewhere. They started in 2023. This is probably from 2024 early. We don't have dates here. We should probably include dates in our commentary from in the future, and have since been adding large customers that are Series B and Series C companies. Again, very startup, very tech. You can find that in reporting. 150 plus employees. 150 plus employees for a tech company is not a lot in my mind. And again, their architecture is very different compared to any other companies. They are going to have their own IT workloads. So they have very different expectations. They have very different IT maturity because they are going to have development firepower internally as well. Sometimes these systems are driven by how they feel about business. CFOs may not have as much clout in these businesses sometimes. So depending upon, where you are, I guess, in terms of industry maturity as well as the capabilities. So here, the customers that they have highlighted in their commentary is, again, Spray, Carbon Direct, Jelfie, and what is that, Sugar. And again, I think they are all startups and tech, and that's where they are doing really well. We were hitting the some more commentary here from one of the CFOs, and this is Populi. Again, that may be a startup. We were hitting the monthly transaction limits, and search was painfully slow on Zero. And again, Zero is accounting software. It has a very different architecture. It does not even have database underneath. It's just a file-based system, so obviously it's very limited. And I don't think that's a fair comparison, in my mind at least. They are creating some multi-entity functionality as well. I don't know where they stand. I think they are trying to penetrate. I mean, they would call enterprise market, which is not enterprise for us, I guess. But they are trying to get there as well because they have a clear threat. Zero, QuickBooks, these companies have a real threat from AI-native variants. So they are talking about, so we selected Campfire as the accounting software for our next stage of growth. We integrated our own product. And when they say our own product, they are talking about their own internal IP. This is a SaaS company. They are integrating their own usage-based data. Usage-based and subscription-based functionality is very critical. It has very unique workflows for majority of the companies. That integration is very tricky. And that's why, again, SaaS architecture is very unique in general. Tech architecture is very unique, from the financial processes perspective and operational, obviously. With Campfire's API to automate the transfer of in-product payment data. When they say in-product payment data, they are talking about their own products that they are selling. That's not going to be similar problem to manufacturing organizations or construction organizations or even oil and gas, even though even field services may be a little bit service-centric industries, but it's not the same problem for them. Okay, some more comments here coming from, VP of Finance. They are saying we migrated from a legacy ERP to Campfire to accelerate our close process. Again, close processes is a key, advantage, but I don't know how much money can you make by simply expediting that. Some CFOs care for that. But again, the money is in subledgers, operational processes, the workflow automation. Phil mentioned that. How much admin effort you have in reconciling all of those siloed, data models. That's where the real money is in our experience. But again, if you're looking simply more from the GL perspective, this would be a great fit. And again, the commentary is coming from finance. I don't think we have seen commentary from any other departments. For us, ERP is supposed to be equal for every single department. ERP is not supposed to be a siloed experience only for finance or accounting. In this case, they are saying it's the only solution in the market that is modern, yet has the power to support our global operations across multiple legal entities. And multiple legal entities, the reason why they are taking that design approach is because a lot of these SaaS companies are going to be present in a lot of countries, even though they might be very small. And this is the problem that we see in some of the regions. You go to Europe, every company there, even if you are going to be under $1 million in revenue, they are probably going to be present in 5 countries. South America is a very similar problem as well. They are going to be present in a lot of different countries. So depending upon where they are geographically concentrated, which market segment they are attacking, the design decisions are going to be driven by that. And that's why these guys are taking that too. I'll keep
Yeah,
moving here. Go ahead, Phil.
quick comment on the close process. You're right, that's not where the real money is. But if you're a startup or a scaling a small medium-sized company, you got a limited accounting group.
Yeah.
If you're spending days or even a couple of weeks just to get to close, it's wasted time, and it's also slowing you down to understand what you really want, which is to analyze the outcomes. So there is value in getting that close done. Most companies that get bought up by PE or whatever, it's one of the first things they do is they set a very tight, hard close date and force everything to get done quickly. So I liked your focus on the international currencies and that it shows they do seem to have some depth there. So it shows what their customers are asking for. As they're getting these customers going, they need it.
Yeah, perfect points. Thank you so much, Phil, for that. I'll keep moving unless you guys have any other comments here. Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I'll keep moving. So here, some more quotes. So here, generative artificial intelligence built foundationally into the product. Again, this is coming from somewhere in 2024. And they were really focused on that, which is very exciting. Today, we are excited to announce that Campfire now integrates with Ro, the financial automation platform. And sometimes this could become very confusing because I would think that, Campfire is supposed to be financial automation. So what are they doing now? So Ro, I guess, is more of the treasury, bank automation. Everybody's talking very similar language. So from the customer's perspective, it becomes extremely confusing what everybody does. But in my mind, I think Ro is probably the treasury centric solution. Now they have used another term. It's a financial operating system. Then, okay, so then what is Campfire then? Because you would think that ERP is supposed to be financial operating system, right? But they are saying financial operating system designed to help business boost their bottom line and operational efficiency, combining integrated, business banking, corporate cards, payments, and that's where again they are treasury. They all use very similar language, but they are treasury is what they are. A little bit of AR automation, maybe AP automation, but yeah, treasury is where their play is. Ro can now send all Ro's transactions to their Campfire general ledger in seconds. And I think we have spoken about ease of integration with some of these systems. That's probably going to be easier, again, because of those flattened data model, the way they have structured themselves. That's why these things are slightly easier. Now, the question is going to be, do you want to bring all of that data? That is something you need to decide for your own architecture. Now, here, some of the things that we have found in their screenshots, for example, they are using some of the GLs directly on, for example, this is the bill that you are looking at, and you have GL account directly sprinkled on the bills, okay? When we see something like this, my mind would say, this is very accounting. If I look at QuickBooks, they are going to do very similar things. Is this ERP? I don't know. ERP is supposed to have layered data, layered GLs. And those business rules are inbuilt as part of your workflow. Now, these guys may be taking slightly different approach because of their AI-native architecture, but this, for me personally, would be that they are very accounting and they are not necessarily ERP, based on the way their design is when I look at these screens. Okay, I'll keep moving unless you guys have any other comments here. Some more comments, and I'll move quickly here because we have too many different systems. Obviously, they are coming across. This is the comment coming from them somewhere in 2024. And they are saying these are different systems that we are coming across, and these are different data silos that we are talking about. This is a nightmare for any company when you are going to use these many different systems. Again, tech companies have very different drivers, the way they work. Sometimes they all want to be in different systems. But again, from the CFO's perspective, from the financial consolidation perspective, you create a lot more problems when you are going to use these many systems. Sometimes you have to use, but our recommendation always is the fewer you are going to use, the fewer nightmares you will have. If you use too many, you are probably going to be in trouble. So in this case, they have spoken about, I don't know how many different systems. And generally, that was supposed to be the role of ERP to eliminate some of these data silos, but they have a lot here. So obviously, CRM, they are coming, Salesforce, ATO, sales tax is very common. That needs to be in a dedicated system. Avalara is very common. NROC is very common in SaaS as well. Banking, again, banking is trying to pull architecture in their direction. Every single bank out there is buying a treasury company and they are trying to position themselves as, hey, I'll give you the software for free. And then you are sort of locked with them because they can charge higher rate. So you need to look at those factors as well when you decide on all of this. Then you have slightly more agnostic, software categories as well. Some of these are going to be slightly more independent, agnostic. You need to look at that. Then the whole AR AP process is very fragmented as well. In AR, you are probably going to use too many tools. With AP, you are going to use too many tools. They are not going to talk to each other. So again, I mean, you can bring all of this data everywhere, but then you are bringing a lot of data, a lot of reconciliation, and that generally increases the cost from the company's perspective. That would be our concern, I guess. That's why we like consolidation a little bit more. Once you grow more, then you would know how much problem this fragmentation is going to cause. And right now in SaaS, obviously you have a lot of fragmentation here. You have many different payrolls. Every payroll is aligned for very specific category. Some are doing international, some are doing domestic. It's all over the place. And then you have close management as well. Why do you need close management? Is that FP&A or is that another close management category? So wow.
So that I'm reading, this is a confusing part of what they're talking about to me, Sam, and I'm not 100% sure I've got this right.
Yeah.
Is this what they say you would need to complement Campfire, or are these the options that their customers typically look at? Because even GL, they're giving 3 options, them being one of it. And close management, if you have QuickBooks or Campfire or NetSuite, I don't understand why you got spreadsheets running around, but so some of this is just confusing to me. Is this what they're saying you need if you use their product, or is this what you're saying their customers typically are looking at potentially using? They'd be well served to say, what does Campfire help replace here?
Yeah, so you can blame us for that. It could be the presentation of the slide, the way it is presented, but the whole intent of the slide is that these are the systems that they are coming across in their customer segments, and we are looking at yeah. So they are coming across these. They are coming across spreadsheets. They are coming across Monday.com Flowcast. So they have commented that these are the systems that they are, coming across. And from our perspective, when we look at this, we are looking at SaaS everywhere, SaaS tech. Yeah, that's how we are reading it.
And a potential data architecture mess.
Depending upon who you speak to, I guess.
Well, the headless guys are all gone now, so I can't ask them.
Yeah, exactly. Microservices too, right?
Yeah, they all left the room.
The very first sentence says,
sorry, Andy.
What is cap table? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to
then
that.
Says, if outgrown from Stripe, then Campfire, then brackets, NetSuite Advanced Revenue Management. Does that mean that Campfire is NetSuite's Advanced Revenue Management module?
So I'll clarify that in terms of what the release meant. So here they are saying that, initially some of these companies might use Stripe, but Stripe is probably not going to have everything. So then they have to move to slightly more advanced solutions. So they have a couple of options. One option is going to be Campfire. The second is going to be Orb. The third is going to be Metronomy, I guess, right? Yeah. So that's what...
Metronome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should keep rolling, Sam. We're at about 7 minutes. If we stay on time, we might go long today.
Okay. Yeah. So any more comments on this?
No.
Okay. All right. So here we have some more tools. And again, I don't think we are going to touch on each of them. So you have cap table management. That's a very SaaS technology problem. And in my mind, I think that can be siloed. That doesn't need to be integrated with your operational processes or ERP-centric processes. So cap table management is great. Again, you will see that in the professional services and maybe SaaS tech space, but that problem does not exist in other industries as far as our understanding goes. Then you have database business intelligence, and that is going to be for their own product. So you need to draw clear distinction between whether you are talking about their own product services or their processes. Generally, when we look at ERP, we are looking at their business processes. Then you have Bill.com, you have Brex and Ramp, Rippling. I think we had already touched on that. Expensify. So they are talking about that there is a lot of consolidation happening in this space as well, because it's very hard to be siloed. Even customers understand this, right? So there is substantial consolidation happening there as well. And that's the foundation of ERP. ERP is all about consolidation. and they are trying to consolidate that. And obviously that creates a lot of overlap, confusion for customers. Okay, I'll keep moving here. Now, when you look at the billing and estimation processes, they are extremely unique in general. And for SaaS, that's going to be even more unique. And there are some real challenges in the AR category and billing and CPQ processes. We noticed that with a lot of different food and beverage industries, manufacturing industries, they have those unique challenges as well. And they might not be able to accommodate this inside the ERP processes. That's where you have a lot of fragmentation. Sometimes you are going to have systems such as your estimation software. They are going to be very distinct, unique from ERP. Sometimes that is bundled up, with some of the engineering, PLM, PDM software. We see that as well. Sometimes that is bundled as part of CRM. So again, depending upon where you are in your maturity. Usage-based billing is a hot topic, I would say, for investors because they are trying to create newer business models. In SaaS space, that's a real problem because you have to get the usage data, and getting usage data and aligning that with your financial processes is a very heavy lift and complex process. And that's where I guess these guys are able to do a lot of things that traditional vendors struggled with that. So that's why SaaS is really excited about this. Tech is really excited about this. Some more comments here. Okay, so this is a very controversial topic right now, and these guys have sort of gone back and forth with this commentary as well. So here they are saying Campfire, a modern accounting software provider for high growth tech companies, and they are very clear in their positioning. I like it. Uses Claude to automate complex accounting tasks and reduce monthly close times. Now, this can be interpreted in many different ways. Okay, so number one, does that mean that now these processes are also interacting with LLMs? If that is the case, then obviously you are sending some data, customer data, to outside engines, which would be a risk for some customers, right? Now, if they are not doing that, are they simply generating the code and using that code to enable their processes? When I speak to Campfire, they say that we have our own proprietary machine learning logic. And I don't know what that means, but they are saying that at least from the customer data perspective, they are not interfacing with LLM, but you need to do a little bit deeper research in terms of where these interaction points are with every single vendor, AI-native vendor, because that could be a substantial risk, for most companies. And that's what we need to understand as well, what is happening underneath. And I don't think we have that understanding as of today. Big round from Excel. And again, anytime we see Excel logo, we are going to be so pumped, so excited about any brand, any company out there. So kudos to these guys. Good job in getting their attention. Some comments related to data model. And I think this is the concern that we had with a lot of different, AI native software. I think they have flattened some of these data models. I don't know why they have flattened these. It could be because they are trying to create SaaS-like experience, Notion-like experience, the experience that I had mentioned towards the beginning of the slide, but they are taking a lot of shortcuts. And it could be because AI limitation, or they are trying to replicate that SaaS experience. From our perspective, I think they are going to have hard time replicating the same experience or the same outcome, financial outcome that some of these ERP systems provided, just because of the workaround that they have taken in their data layers. And we would be a little concerned about that. So you need to do a little bit more research. So here, some of the things that we have noticed, I mean, the way their chart of accounts are structured, there is a very unique design. And we would think that this is probably not, this does not have the same level of hierarchy that we like to see in chart of accounts, at least from the relational data modeling perspective. And you need that for ERP-centric consolidated processes. When you are acting as a general ledger, things are a little easier. They are not as tight. But when you get into the real ERP workflows, the mappings that they have right now may not be as scalable. Now, some of the other things that we had noted with other software as well, we have seen like customer details at the chart of account level. That may be a little red flag for us, because for us, we like to build scalable processes, scalable data. Your GL is supposed to be the foundational dependency, and on that you are building the whole building, or the structure. So we don't like to see that, okay, you are using a detail from roof here at the foundation level. That's where things are getting mixed. And it could be because they had to take these workarounds because the data is not as normalized. So that would be a concern for us in implementing this for many different business models, many different business processes. We feel that, this is not going to be as scalable from our perspective, and you would not receive the same outcome as you would with the other mainstream ERP systems. I'll keep going here. Some more comments, and again, these comments are very similar in our analysis based on the kind of data structure that they have. So here at the vendor level, they still have direct correlation with email. And from the accounting perspective, ERP processes perspective, you don't have hard correlation with the email in general. That happens if I talk to HubSpot, the only thing that they understand is email, and that email is not necessarily connected to any other customer records or vendor records. These records are isolated. So then for a customer, you might create 100 records in some cases. Here, so they have, again, flattened this data model at the contact level, and they are not following the legal hierarchy the way legal hierarchy is supposed to be structured from the customer perspective. Again, this might work great for smaller companies. For larger companies, they need to maintain that hierarchy because they are looking for that customer 360. Now, AI data extraction is far easier. They might be able to mimic customer 360 somehow by correlating these data sets. But still, I don't think you are going to get the same transactional integrity that you had. And financial systems are all about transactional integrity. So that would be our concern. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you guys saw something else there, but my screen jumped a little bit there. The same comments here at the, this is the update chart transaction, and update chart transaction is sort of utilizing vendor, which would be a little red flag for us. That why do you have vendor information here? Because vendor information is supposed to be slightly upstream. Chart of account is supposed to be slightly downstream. So why is it that getting mixed? Again, because of the flatter data model, because you don't have clear hierarchy. At the bill level, bills, invoices, and all at the chart transaction level. So again, why do you need invoice ID there, bill ID there? That's not the right normalization, at least from our perspective, based on how ERP processes and data sets are supposed to be structured. This is a bill transaction, and bill transaction does not have the clear correlation between how payments are supposed to have their own GLs and bills are supposed to have their own GLs. In this case, it's all mixed up, I guess. So again, it does not follow the same hierarchy. And again, I don't know why they are doing the flattening. It could be because they require this for AI capabilities, because AI, as far as my understanding goes, does not like business rules hierarchies. So they have to take some workaround shortcut for that. Okay, I think that this is the last slide that I have, and that's it. I'm done. And then we can take some comments. Here, this is the create invoice workflow. Now, they are hard-coding some of the things. So then we would say, okay, if you have hard-coded this, are you going to remain intact? Are you going to have the same market cap as claimed? So here they have hard-coded them with Avalara, Sphere, Nrock. And again, you are not going to find Nrock in other market segments. So why would you do that? I mean, we don't like that. We like slightly more, agnostic model, so that your processes are going to be scalable. Your data models are going to be scalable as well. This is the revenue transactions. And again, the way the whole revenue transaction process is structured is fairly unique and strange for us as well. Generally, we would like to see the whole subledger functionality where you go from your order to quote to your quote to order to your projects, and the revenue recognition is going to be slightly more natural as opposed to sending a revenue recognition call, which is after the fact, in my opinion. It's not as connected with your revenue processes. So that's where this is very siloed experience. It's not the same experience as what we like to see in the ERP world. So that's it from my side, I guess. I'm gonna stop sharing. I have one comment here. I'll take that, and I can take your comment as well.
Yeah, the comment in there is a thank you for a great discussion.
Okay, sounds like somebody's liking it.
We're a little long, so I'll just say that, kind of from the beginning, and you mentioned it a couple of times. I think these AI native finance packages are really exciting. And I think they do deliver a lot of great value as far as time to close, as far as reporting, as far as some of the workflows just falling right into place. And I think there may be solutions to the flattened data-based structure and how that would be scaled for different types of companies. I don't know there's a problem scaling it for volume. I certainly can see a challenge if you want to have other associated software that requires a more structured database trying to play nice with this. So I can see some potential hiccups in those areas. But all in all, Campfire looks to be on a really cool road. I like the fact that they know what they're shooting at and what they're targeting as far as market and their identity, and definitely worth evaluating if you're looking at this type of solution.
Yeah, so Phil, the comment I would make there overall from the modularity perspective, there is a reason why the world requires these hierarchies. And if you look at construction, manufacturing, anything, even in manufacturing, some people argue that, do you really need bombs? Why do you need bombs? You need bombs for a reason. Okay. Yeah. And again, those are foundational dependencies, the way real world works and the way it is structured. If you miss those dependencies, then you are going to be all over the place. I don't think you are going to get as much scalability. So that's our concern again from the real world perspective. Maybe AI is going to change material properties. Copper is not going to be the same copper. It's probably going to be gold. Okay, and I'll be rich one of these days, I guess. But not today. Andy, you please comment.
Not if you own silver today, Sam.
Yeah, silver is not a good idea. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to mention that, I concur with everything Phil said. I mean, these are all exciting times, and all these products offer something incredibly exciting. But I'm finding that every one of these products has a little bit of a confusing message. If you go to Campfire's website, proudly right in the very front, it says close fast, scale faster. Yet during our presentation today, we recognized that cloud and RHO, however you pronounce that, are both designed to allow you to close faster. So I'm not sure what the message is.
Yeah, great points, Andy. Sresta, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just think that when people are going for these systems, they need to understand more what kind of trade-offs that they are accepting in their architecture, governance, and scaling. And I think that would help them more to, get to the right decision.
Yeah, now that's a CEO level comment. Thank you so much, Sresta, for that.
She's playing my position, Sam.
Yeah, I know. I mean, see, you oversold it. I mean, you are creating that as USP and you are making it cool. Now people are going to steal that. You need to hide that, Phil. When you have a secret sauce. All right, guys, any more comments? No? All right, guys, so that's it. So this was part of a review series. We do this every Thursday, roughly at 11 a.m. So stay tuned on our page, which is the events and webinars on elevateiq.com, or subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll see a lot of announcements there. On that note, I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.